So I honestly didn't really expect this to work so well. I think we're live. I honestly think we're live. So anything that is broken, anything that still needs to be fixed, or anything that might be weird, we'll fix it with time. All right, but let's go ahead and jump right in. Hello, hi, and welcome. This has been such a long time coming, and I am excited. I'm not really nervous because whenever I do any form of public presentation, it's always like, okay, what's the worst that could happen, right? But even then, sometimes I feel like, a little bit of anxiety before, like, if I was in college or if I was like gonna do some form of presentation in class, there would always be that little nagging feeling where I was like, okay, what if I mess up and look like a fool in front of everyone, right? The great part about this is that there is no one here. I am by myself. There are strangers over the internet. Well, for now, it's friends and family, right? Eventually, maybe, potentially, there could be strangers over the internet, but I can't see you. So this is really nice. So I'm actually just not nervous. I'm more excited than anything. But welcome on in. This has been a long time coming. For those of you who are watching that are friends and family, you know I've been working on this for a while, and that everything was leading up to today. And to help this first stream go well, I've made something. I've prepared a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. Well, a Canva presentation to be more exact. Canva is better than PowerPoint. I'm gonna say that right now. Hot take maybe, but I most of the things that you see today were made using Canva. But yeah, I have a presentation. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be going through the presentation. It's going to be just a chatting stream. It's really just going to be me sitting here talking about what you can expect, who am I, of course, and what's going to be coming in the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. So let's go ahead and go over to it, and I'll see you guys there. So, what is all of this? What is Gulio? What is this word title name that you are seeing on your screen in this very nice logo that we have designed by someone that I will credit in all of our socials after the stream is over. So before we start everything, I'd like to tell a story. Basically, what motivated me or what inspired me to get to now, right? To get to what happened today. So once upon a time, there was a boy. There was a boy. Um, I want to say I was 20, 21 years old. I was in my second half of college. I think I was starting my senior year. And I felt a bit unnerved by the possibility of going into the adult workforce. And I was like, well, what alternatives do I have? Maybe not to completely replace the the actual concept of having an adult job and getting a salary and all that, but what could be something I add on to it? What could give my life further purpose and meaning besides just being your regular old Joe who goes into the office every day? Well, I don't actually go into the office, I work remotely, but neither here nor there. But I was thinking of something to give me more purpose in life. And around this time is when COVID hit. And so once COVID hit, streaming really exploded. And up until then, I didn't really have a good grasp of what streaming was. I knew of its existence, I knew of the concept, and I knew that there were people who did streaming that were very successful, right? Around this time, I think Ninja was already big, Fortnite was already blowing up, the whole thing. But I never really was into it. I didn't have a streamer that I liked, that I watched regularly. I had a Twitch account, but I never used it. Um, but when COVID hit, obviously a lot of time, and I graduated at the same time. And so I needed something to watch while I was, playing games or watching YouTube or just something in the background. Hey, thank you so much for following. Wow, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I am so sorry. But I like I said, I have friends and family that are watching. So if you are friends and family, thank you so much. Um, for following. I will try to address everyone as they come in at the very least. Maybe not by name, depending on how crazy the name is, but we'll see. But anyway, to continue with the story, COVID, right? And this is really when I started to get into Twitch, into streaming. And I was able to find the. Oh, thank you so much, Diego. I really appreciate that. It's been a lot of work to get this set up. But so COVID hit, and I really started to watch a lot of streamers. I got involved with watching Cold Carnage. I started watching smaller Twitch streamers. I will have some linked in my profile. But Cold Carnage is the main one, and as well as some of the kind of competitive esports streamers. I really like competitive COD, so I was watching Scump, I was watching Hex, I was watching the competitive COD team at the time, and I was just having a really good time with Twitch and the interface and UI and like chat and all those things. And I thought to myself, why couldn't I do this? Right? Is this something that is limited to special people? No, all you really need is the right equipment and the ability to press a button and you can go live. And as I started to think about it more and more, I grew more and more enticed to the idea, more passionate about to the idea about starting streaming. And fast forward, I want to say a year and a half or 2 years, I finally was able to move into my own place and I had space and I thought to myself, this is it. This is the time where I can start to stream. I can really start this thing that I'm passionate about. Well, let's just say that the move in process was rough and I took a vacation right after moving in and I just kind of relaxed. All the like motivation and energy behind starting this thing disappeared. And I think I kind of missed my window to get started with streaming. It was always in the back of my mind while I was living at that place, that you have everything you need to get this started. Why not just do it? But the way I work, and some of you guys know this already, I just no, it's all or nothing. I can't really do something halfway, and so at that point in my mind, it was already kind of decided that I'd missed my mark to be able to do it at this place. Well, more time passes, right? And I moved back in with my parents. I saved some money, and eventually I arrived to right now, which is where I'm in a brand new place with a lot more space and reasonable financial commitments. And this time, I learned from my mistakes. I didn't really want to let the opportunity go by, and I actually put pedal to the metal. I got all the equipment. I learned a lot. I spent a lot of time, more than you guys probably know. Like I talked this up a lot, but I spent a lot of time researching, all right, what is necessary? What goes into a stream? And there's so much more than you guys would ever expect. So I learned a lot. I wanted to build a good office space. I wanted to use everything I had at my disposal to make sure that the very first stream, this stream today, was of good quality. I didn't want to start off with something bad or poor or just, kind of cheap. Cheap is the word I'm looking for. So, anyway, that's the story on how today happened and how we are here with this very fancy overlay and this very fancy software that is allowing me to speak to you guys over the internet. But thank you for listening to my story. So now we're going to go through the presentation, and I'm going to talk about myself, what you can expect going forward from the stream, and anything else that you guys might be interested in. So me, who am I? So first of all, what can you call me? Well, I would prefer that you call me by my username or my online tag or my branding, which is Gulio. And I'll explain what Gulio means here in a bit, but any form of Gulio works. If you want to call me Ghoul, if you want to call me Leo, those are fine. If you want to call me Gulio, just a full word, that's fine as well. Or you can simply call me by my name, which is David. You won't know my last name for now. I will say it on stream by accident. I know that what's going to happen, but any of those four will work. So I will try to respond to either of them. It's going to take me some time. I'm only used to responding to my name. So if you call me Leo, if you call me Ghoul, if you call me Gulio, it's going to take me a while, but I'll get there. But I am 26 years old, so I am in my later half of my 20s, which basically means I am on my way to death's door. I've already started the funeral. I've already written my will. So I am old. My knees hurt. My back hurts. Everything about being in the later half of your 20s suck. Also, pressure to get married. That also sucks. But anyway, so that's kind of the perspective you can think of the stuff. You can think of what my opinions and beliefs come from. Is a 26-year-old. My pronouns are he and him. I am a boy. I think I am a boy. I know I am a boy. So please refer to me as that. And I live in an area where I am in Central Standard Time. So if you guys are in the East Coast or the West Coast, or maybe across the ocean from the United States, so you will have to adjust to the Central Standard Time. That I will always schedule, plan things according to what I think is best for my schedule, and so that might be a bit difficult for people who are in different areas of the world. So my bad, I guess. And the last thing I think I want to introduce right now is the fact that I am a fucking weeb. I like everything and all things related to otaku. Well, not everything. I'm not the biggest fan of like cosplay and stuff like that. But anime, games, webtoons. I'm even starting to get into a little bit more of uh, real like Japanese culture stuff, like genuine Japanese culture stuff that is not related to anime or some form of otaku, media. But basically, yes, I'm a weeb. A lot of the streaming content that you will see here will be related to something of anime or anime game like, etc. So, anyway, that's me. I hope that I'm not a boring person. If I am, that kind of sucks. But I hope you stick around and see what we have to offer. So that's a good transition point to. So, what can you expect, right? Um, so you can expect many different things, probably too many different things. I have a list here, and I just pulled it up. And if the lighting on my face changes, it's that's something that I'll have to work on. Right now, the lighting looks pretty okay because my screen is fairly dark. But if I pull up something that's like white, immediately my face brightens up like that. It's not great. I gotta get more lights. I'll fix the lighting eventually. But I have a list. So what can you expect from me? What content am I going to produce and go live with? And really, I just mentioned it before. It's going to be games. It's mostly going to be games, and it's going to be a very particular style of game, which is going to be an RPG, specifically JRPGs. Like I said, big weeb JRPGs. It's basically just taking a Western RPG and an anime, and you just smush them together, right? And then you get a JRPG. But I'll also do some Western JRPGs as well. You can expect that, and I'll talk about that more later. But aside just from gaming, you'll also see me talk about anime a lot, and that's something that I don't want to forego here. I definitely want to potentially. I'm not sure about doing watch parties. That's really really difficult to do with YouTube and Twitch sharing copyrighted content. Not a good idea. So we'll see what happens there. But at the very least, anime discussions, maybe anime reviews, or just tier lists, rankings, just talking about our various passions and opinions towards anime and games as well. We won't just be live streaming games, we'll be talking about games as well. And that's another good transition point to what I guess differentiates me or what makes me different. And I want to say really not a lot. I think I'm going to be your very typical streamer. But I think one thing that I definitely want to focus on and that I really want to make sure is communicated to my audience is I am a story first kind of guy. I love to get immersed in a good story and a good world. And that's really the perspective that I will want to be playing games from. It's the story, the characters, the character dynamics, the character developments, the world building, the writing, dialogue, you name it, right? And that's why a lot of the things that I want to do on stream are going to be related to very story heavy games or anime as well. All anime are telling a story, so I guess whatever. Um, and the reason for that is, well, number one, just I am a story enthusiast, right? But also because I am also a bit of a creative writer. It's a title I really don't like to assign to myself very harshly because I have no results to speak of, no tangible, projects to show anyone really. Um, but I have been doing creative writing on and off ever since I was in high school. And I've also done self study as well. So I think I have a good understanding on how stories are supposed to be told, and not just how it's supposed to be told, but how they can, you know, branch off and do new things and introduce new ideas and go off, the typical textbook path of telling a story, and how that creativity can really enhance a game or an anime's or a show or a book's or a movie's ability to draw the audience in and to tell what is a damn good story. So that's really the kind of differentiating factor that I think is going to be really important for me to kind of communicate to my audience. It's going to be the fact that I want to I want to bring emphasis and highlight the really really cool parts of storytelling. I am passionate about stories, yes, but perhaps even more so, I am passionate about storytelling and the way a story is told. So anyway, that's what you can expect at a high level, at a broad level. And so, what can you expect immediately? What is going to come in the next couple of streams? Well, first, I want to talk about what you can find here regularly. Stuff that is not kind of dedicated content. Stuff that will just happen whenever I choose to want to stream it. And the first one of which is Gacha games. It's Gacha games. I am sorry. Look, I'm a degenerate. Okay, I can't help it. I promise not to spend too much money. Unfortunately, some money will be spent because Gacha games have a special lure to them that is irresistible, right? Yeah, Diego just said, hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thankfully, I have had previous experience with really getting, really making some bad decisions towards Gacha games. So I've learned my lesson. I will, I will spend responsibly, to put it like. But really, I'm gonna want to focus on three main Gacha games. They're the ones that you see on screen right here, which is Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero on the right, and Wuthering Waves on the left. We'll see whether or not they stick, but the one in the middle absolutely will stick. Honkai Star Rail is one of my favorite games of all time. Not one of my favorite Gacha games of all time. It's one of my favorite games of all time. We're gonna be doing a lot of Star Rail related stuff. It isn't just going to be playing the game. It's going to be reaction content. It's going to be tier lists. It's going to be discussions. It's going to be character analysis, story analysis, everything about Star Wars. Oh yeah, soundtrack listen to. Is that something that I have not that I not, didn't talk about on the previous side? I definitely want to do kind of soundtrack, listen, watch parties. I guess I don't know how to describe it, but Star Rail is going to be the main one. That's something you're gonna see immediately. I think we're gonna be streaming tomorrow again, and I think a big part of that stream is going to be Star Rail, so you can expect that. Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves are gotcha games that I feel like I am just one step away from really getting addicted to, but I'm not quite there. However, recently both Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero announced some of their upcoming characters, and let's just say some of them have me in a chokehold. So, for the moment, we're definitely going to be playing Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves. Um, but gotcha games are something you're going to find regularly on the stream here. So, what else are you going to be able to find kind of regular on the stream? Well, Pokemon. Pokemon has been probably the longest standing series that I've been a addicted fan to. I get, and to describe that further, I've been a fan of Pokemon since I was like, what, 4, 5, 6 years old? And it really just hasn't stopped ever. I've just always been into Pokemon. I watched the anime as a kid. I played the games as a kid. I still watch the anime as an adult, and I play the game, all the games as an adult. So you're gonna see lots of Pokemon. I plan on doing, like, again, lots of varied content. Nuzlocke, of course. Everyone's doing Nuzlocke. We're gonna do Nuzlocke. It's gonna be fun, but not just Nuzlocke. We're gonna be doing we're gonna be playing through fan made games, maybe some ROM hack challenges. Like Infinite Fusion is something I would absolutely love to do. And again, OST listen tos, tier lists, rankings, all that stuff. Maybe we'll dabble a little bit into Pokemon cards, but that gets back a little bit into gambling. Gambling not good. Definitely not something I want to promote either. But one thing that I definitely want to do with Pokemon as a series is something that I feel like not a lot of creators do, and that's talk about the anime. Pokemon currently is in a really the Pokemon anime is currently in a really interesting state in which the anime has moved on from its main protagonist for over 20 years, Ash Ketchum. We have a new protagonist, a new cast of characters that are completely new. We've never seen these cast of characters before. And the anime is called Pokemon Horizons. And I love Pokemon Horizons. Pokemon Horizons is so good. I definitely want to talk about it. That's definitely something we might do a watch party for. So you can expect that eventually. And well, last but not least, what's something that you could find regularly on the stream? Monster Hunter. Uh, Very similar to Pokemon, Monster Hunter is probably the second longest standing series that I've been addicted to. I started playing Monster Hunter back when I was first starting middle school, I want to say, and something like that. And ever since then, I've made an effort to play every single new release and pretty much 100% complete it every single time. There have been a few exceptions. Unfortunately, I have not 100% completed or come close to 100% completing every single Monster Hunter. But I love Monster Hunter. I've been playing since Monster Hunter Freedom on the PSP. I have played pretty much every single major release since then. And we have a brand new major release that's going to be coming out here in about 2 months in February. And that's definitely going to be something that we're going to be heavily streaming pretty much every day, if not, every other day for multiple hours per day. It's going to be a very unhealthy amount of Monster Hunter. So you can look forward to that. Not much really varied content to do for Monster Hunter. We might do a few tier lists and OST listens too, but really it's just going to be playing the game. Just playing the game, just going on hunts, playing with friends potentially. We'll see. Who knows? So that'll be a lot of fun. And it won't just be wilds. I plan to go back and play through Monster Hunter World for sure. Maybe some of the older titles like Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and Monster Hunter Try. Depends on, how much time we have. So those three series are going to be some of the regular content you'll find here. I'm not really going to do dedicated content for these three series either. Like, you're not going to see me run Honkai Star Rail for, multiple weeks at a time. It'll be something we do, an hour here and there, maybe 2 hours here and there. Same thing for Zenless Zone Zero and Wuba. But when it has major updates, right, new releases, new patch releases, we'll definitely jump in, and that'll be, a very focused stream for that. Same thing with Monster Hunter and Pokemon. We will just randomly have streams that are focused on Monster Hunter and Pokemon. That's how it's going to be. So what about non-regular content or content that you will see happen essentially once, or maybe not once, but content that is meant to happen once? So that's when we start getting into what I like to call phases. So for those of you who are Marvel fans, you're going to be familiar with this. There are going to be different phases to kind of the history of this stream or this channel or this brand, Gulio. Whereas Marvel had these phases where it kind of contained a lot of the story arcs it was creating into one overarching major story arc. And that's kind of what I want to do here as well. And phase one is going to be starting, I want to say, like March, April, pretty much as soon as we're like all burnt out from Monster Hunter, the new Monster Hunter Wilds game. Phase one is going to start. And so, what is phase one? Well, phase one is the primary motivator for why we are here today. It is the main factor that I clicked the start streaming button today. And that is the Legend of Heroes Trails of series, otherwise known as Kiseki in Japan. This is, without exaggeration, my favorite media series ever. That includes anime. Yeah, Trails, hell yeah. I Trails might be the best thing ever. Okay, that's an exaggeration. That's my personal bias coming into this. But Trails is definitely the best thing ever made to me. It is, like I said, my favorite media franchise series ever. That includes books, anime, games, movies, webtoons, you name it, plays, theater, anything. This comes out on top. I have played, I want to say, over half the games at this point, but half of the, no, yes, it is the best thing ever. Objectively, it is the best thing. It is nothing else comes close. um, but like I said, I've played about half of the games, and I'll talk through that here in a bit. But that's what's gonna make this a lot of fun. I started playing Trails mid COVID, so around the same time I was getting into streaming and Twitch, and I started with Cold Steel 1. And some of you guys are already like, oh, he started with Cold Steel. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, okay? Cold Steel was the one that was made known to me first. It was the one that I was interested in, I was curious about. So I started with it. I didn't even, when I first started Cold Steel and I played like my first session, it was like about 4 hours. I didn't even know that there were other Trails games besides Cold Steel. I knew there was Cold Steel 1, 2, 3, and 4. I didn't know there were entire story arcs that were outside of Cold Steel. So I unfortunately started with Cold Steel. I do think Trails in the Sky is the best start if you're trying to get into Trails. But it's also the most risky start. So yeah. But phase one is going to be a full entire playthrough through every single released Trails game in English, starting with Sky. The Trails games that I have not played are Trails in the Sky first chapter, Trails in the Sky second chapter, Trails in the Sky the third, as well as Trails of Zero and Trails into Azure. So I have not played the Sky trilogy, and I have not played Crossbell. I have played all of Cold Steel, I've played Reverie, and I've played all of Daybreak that has been released up until now. So, like I said, a lot of Trails left to play. That said, it's not going to be a fully blind playthrough. Back when I played Cold Steel 1 and 2, I went back and I watched the story summaries that are on YouTube. Fantastic story summaries, by the way. But I watched them all for Sky and Crossbow so that I had the correct context that I needed to play Cold Steel 3 and Cold Steel 4 and enjoy it mostly to its fullest. But I've always regretted that. I've always kind of thought it would have been much better if after I played Cold Steel 2, I went back and I played through Trails in the Sky and Crossbell. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to play Trails in the Sky, we're going to play Crossbell, and we're also going to replay Cold Steel, Reverie, and then Daybreak 1. And then by the point we, get back to Daybreak 2, and hopefully Kaino Kiseki are out, and we'll play those as well. So phase one is going to take a long time. It's going to be probably a multi-year process because these games are huge and there's about 11 of them released in English at the moment, probably 13 by the time we get, by the time we catch up. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of story discussion, a lot of character analysis, a lot of OST listen tos, tier lists, everything that you can think of related to Trails is going to be a part of the content that we're going to be streaming for phase one. So, really excited for you to join me here. If you are a Trails fan, hopefully you guys are going to have fun with this. If you are unfamiliar with the series, I'm hoping that this will be a good way to transition you into the series by communicating just how passionate I am about the series as a whole. So after, let's say that we're still streaming 2 years from now, which is a big if, right? What comes next? Do we even have a break a leg? Yes. Thank you very much. Excited to watch you play Sky. Yes, I am very excited as well. Sky is, I've been watching other people play Sky, and it's been such a joy. Oh my god. And Crossbow as well. Let me not single out. I actually might prefer Crossbow over Sky at this point. But it's been such a joy to watch other people experience, Sky and Crossbow blind, right? And that's something that I really regret that I won't be able to experience these games blind. But hopefully I'll still be able to get most of the enjoyment, most of the same enjoyment. But okay, so what do we have planned after phase one? Because this is going to be a multi-year process. Do we have anything planned for phase one? Well, we do. We do have something planned for phase, which is after phase one, which is phase two. Phase two is something that I have very rarely and briefly talked about to friends and family. So this might come as a surprise to all of you. But this is a series, or maybe not just a series, but a brand I want to say that I've also been very interested in and very passionate about for a long time, but I've never sunk my teeth into. I've never really taken the time to open the door and step into the series and actually experience it. I have about, I want to say, 4 to 6 hours of playtime in one of these games, and that's it. So this is going to be a true blind playthrough of each one of these games. So what is Phase Two? It's the Soul series, or really FromSoft. Is it FromSoft? Whatever the developer is. But I plan to play through all the Dark Souls games, 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring in that order. I have about, like I said, 4 to 6 hours in Dark Souls 3. That's it. And those 4 to 6 hours, I loved. It was amazing. And I really, really, really am curious about these games, but most importantly, the stories, the lore, and the world building behind each of these games. Obviously, the gameplay speaks for itself. It's highly acclaimed, award winning, super fun gameplay. But I'm primarily interested in learning about the world and walking through the worlds of each one of these games. It's going to be super fun. Very similar to what I mentioned in Phase 1, complete playthrough, this time truly blind. OST Listens, tier lists, rankings, discussions, all that you'll find in Phase 2. So not much else to talk about here because I don't know a lot about, the Souls games, but that will be Phase 2. This will also probably be a multi-year process thing. So we are looking out into the future heavily, right? Um, so having said that, are we gonna go once we start each of these phases? Are we gonna go straight through, like just punching through, like no stopping, no breaks? No, no. I am not inhuman. I am a normal person. I have other interests, other passions that I would like to get into. So my commitment is to try to keep each story arc uninterrupted. So going back to talking about the Trail series, once I start the Sky arc we will be doing the Sky arc with very minimal interruptions. Maybe we'll have like a stream or two here and there that'll be like, Star Rail or something special, who knows. But most of the time it's going to be we're going to play through all of Sky first chapter, we're going to play all of Sky second chapter, and then we're going to play all of Sky the third. And that's going to be it, right? But once we finish each major story arc, I do kind of want to take a bit of a break and then kind of go do other things, right? Maybe like play a new Pokemon game that came out, or maybe play a new JRPG that I've been interested in for a long time, right? That's kind of how I'm going to kind of space things out, is through story arc and not through entire phase. Because if we were to prioritize any plans of playing Metaphor, yes, absolutely. I Metaphor and Persona 5 are probably going to be one of the prioritized, streams, I guess, topics, subjects. I will play Persona 5 and Metaphor Refancio after probably Trails in the Sky or after Crossbow to some extent. That's going to happen. And my commitment is to try to do my best to kind of take a look at everything that I'm interested in playing or doing that's coming out in the future, and then kind of starting, each story arc of Phase 1 and Phase 2 accordingly. Like, hey, if a new Pokemon game is going to come out in 3 weeks, probably not best to start the Crossbow games, right? Maybe I should just wait, play through the Pokemon game on stream, finish it, and then I can start Crossbow. Something like that as an example. Same deal with Phase 2, right? By the time we get to Phase 2, it'll be like, you know, I want to say 3 or 4 years down the line. So maybe like, hey, David, you just finished Dark Souls 3 and you want to jump straight into Bloodborne, but there's a new Monster Hunter game coming out, right? But I'm going to play the Monster Hunter game first, and then I'll jump into the next couple of Souls games. So that's my commitment. I'm going to try to do my best to balance everything, to space out everything, to make sure there's no awkward interruptions for each story arc. My main priority, like I said, is to not interrupt, the story that I have in my mind and the story that you, as the audience, as a viewer, have in your mind. So I'm not going to be like, about playing through, Cold Steel 3 and we're about to hit the final boss and be like, hey, you know what would be really fun? Let's go ahead and start playing Unicorn Overlord, That's not going to happen. Unicorn Overlord, another example of a game that we'll probably stream in between story arcs. But like I said, we're gonna be starting Phase 1 in a couple months because there's a lot of things happening coming up, mainly Monster Hunter, but also Trails Through Daybreak 2. So a new Trails game is releasing in February, mid-February, right before Monster Hunter, which kind of sucks. But are we going to be streaming Trails Through Daybreak 2? Unfortunately, no. And that was a tough decision. Let's go back to the Trails side. Are we going to be streaming Daybreak 2? Unfortunately, no. And the reason for that is because by the time we get to Trails Through Daybreak 2's release, I don't think I will be a seasoned enough streamer to not let it affect my experience. I by that point I'll have been streaming for about 2 months, and by I still think I'll be learning a lot about streaming and how to be a content creator. At, at nice Pikachu, like what the phone, nice Pikachu. But yes, so Trails Through Daybreak 2 will not be streamed, unfortunately. I will be playing through it on my own time, release date. Absolutely, don't worry. And I plan to finish it really quickly. So it'll be a bit of a break from streaming. I'll probably still stream Gacha games, every so often, an hour or two a day. But I will be mostly taking a break for those, 2 to 3 weeks that I'm playing through Trails Through Daybreak 2. And another reason I didn't want to stream Trails Through Daybreak 2 was because I didn't really want to start halfway through an arc, right? It'd be really awkward for you as a viewer and for me as a content creator to just be like, hey, welcome back, Trails Through Daybreak protagonist. Good to see you again. We didn't stream any of the first game. You guys never got to see my experience with that. So I feel like that would just be weird. So we're not going to be, unfortunately, streaming Trails Through Daybreak 2. It'll be a nice break for me to take from streaming, refocus my mind to be able to just enjoy a game that I really love, that I will really love, uninterrupted without having to stress or worry about streaming. So that obviously will be happening in February. And like I said, Monster Hunter is happening as well right after. So that's another reason why phase one is going to be starting much later, probably March, April. We'll see. But is there going to be something that comes before phase one, comes before Trails to Daybreak 2, that comes before Monster Hunter, right? And the answer is yes. So on top of all the things that I showed that are going to happen regularly, so Pokemon, Monster Hunter, and Gacha games, we're going to be playing through a very a JRPG that I've been interested in playing through for a long time. That is also related to Phase One to a certain extent. That we will be starting tomorrow. Trails, Legend of Heroes, Trails of Night. So for those of you who do not know what this game is, it is kind of a spin-off of the Trails franchise. So the Trails franchise is a small subset of a much larger franchise known as the Legend of Heroes. The Legend of Heroes originally started, I think, as Dragon Slayer or something like that. It was one of Falcom's first games. Trails of Nyata, or Legend of Heroes Trails of Nyata, is supposedly connected to this larger franchise and potentially connected to the Trails series as well. I don't know anything about it. I've been wanting to play it for a long time, and we will be starting it tomorrow live on stream. So it should be a really, really fun time. It'll be kind of it'll give you a good idea of what you can expect in phase one and, in other story based games going forward. I think this is a good transition and learning experience for me as a game, right? So that will be starting tomorrow. We'll probably be starting sometime in the afternoon, probably again 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see. I will try to post an announcement on socials so that you guys know when you can expect for the stream to start, in case you want to tune in to watch me play Trails into Naita. Anyway, and with that, I do believe we are at the end. So this was going to be just an introduction stream. So no games today. I don't plan on doing a second stream later today. I'm gonna take some time to celebrate, probably go get some good food, discuss with friends and family on whether or not they liked it. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those of you who are in chat, for those of you who are going to be watching the VOD in the future, hey, this is me. I hope you had a good time. Well, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with some Trails content and probably some Gacha Games content as well. So yes, thank you for tuning in, Diego. Really appreciate it. But again, this has been Gulio. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.